to a Postcast edition of the Cougar Beat podcast on KSL.com. Sean Walker, KSL.com. Trey Weaver,
ESPN
aka
960.
Ronald Weaver III from
Yep.
ESPN 960. He's the real man behind the everything. And I'm doing a little production on the fly here. Turn that down a little bit, hopefully. Um, but BYU basketball escapes with a 66-64 win over Missouri State. Cougar shoots 41% from the field, 9 of 25 from three-point range, including 5 three-pointers from Noah Waterman. And Dallin F. Hall. Um, his middle name actually starts with an H. It's Dallin H. Hall, but for the purposes of our podcast and tonight, he is Dallin F. Hall. Only one bucket, but nothing bigger than his little pull up with about 1.5 seconds
One and a
left
half left.
to escape with the win. Should we start there, Trey?
We should start there. Yeah, let's
Sorry,
start
I
there.
mean Ron.
Right
Uh,
around whichever one.
yeah, Ronald Weaver III. Have you ever seen a bigger shot from a BYU freshman? And don't answer that because you're probably going to say yes, but that's got to be up there, right?
That's up there. Definitely top 5 for sure. Yeah. You can even argue top 3.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out? What stood out about that play? What stood out about Dallin's game? What stood out about that moment? Because obviously it wasn't too big for the young freshman.
As a former athlete playing BYU rugby, you always are going to have moments where the game is going to slow down for you or you're not going to play well. Just so everybody knows, Dallin had that was the only shot attempt he made the whole night. The other 4 points he had came from the free throw line. He had 4 points. He was 4 of 6 from the free throw line tonight. He didn't make a shot up until that last game-winning bucket. He goes 86 feet. All of the shooters are covered. If you listen to his post game, uh, that was supposed to be a drawn up play, but none of the shooters are open. We assume that it was going to go to either Noah Waterman or Spencer Johnson, but that was covered. So he took it 86 feet one on one. He got the separation, bumped it in, and he banked it in, and which was the game winning shot for BYU.
Yeah, exactly. And that's you mentioned it right there. That was maybe my favorite part about that play was the contact, the
Yep.
little shoulder rub. He's going up against I think it was Trimble.
It
I
was
think
Brian Trimble
Brian
Jr.
Trimble Jr.,
Yep.
their number 2 scorer,
Yep.
and maybe the best defensive guard on
Yep.
that
It is the
team.
best defensive
Yeah,
guard.
played some really good defense, and Dallin just went right at him. Um, Took a little bit of contact, kind of bounced off the dude,
Yep.
and then just silky smooth jumper. We've seen it all over the place while he was at Fremont, and just makes it happen. He mentioned before that he didn't shoot the ball particularly well tonight. Let's look at the exact numbers. Dallin Hall, yeah, just 1 for 5, over 3 from 3-point range. Did have 4 free throws,
Yep.
so
Found a way to score.
yeah, found a way to score
Found a
no
way to
matter
score.
what. Couple rebounds, couple assists, 4 rebounds, um, and assists. No turnovers again. Third straight game, no turnovers
Yep.
that he's got, but makes the biggest shot of the game right there in crunch time to escape with the win. And I honestly thought, Ron, that before Dallin was set up driving 80 plus feet from basically from hoop to hoop, I thought that that shot was really being set up for Noah Waterman
I agree.
because Noah was nails tonight. Yeah, 5 of 6 from 3-point range, 15 points, career high tying 5 3-pointers
Yep.
he had. And I mean, obviously it wasn't meant to be, but what a game. What a game he had.
You could tell he was locked in from jump. You could tell his first shot. And people, when people look at the game, but I look at the game in context from playing a different sport and from playing basketball freshman and sophomore year, and I look at it. The ref actually has to come over. Noah checks into the game for the first 3 minutes, and him and I can't remember who it was on the other side of Missouri State, but they're already into it. They like have to be separated for a second. He's like telling them they're like shoving. Noah like slaps his arm down. So Noah came into this game like very very aggressive and
Yep.
very focused because he knew, and he talked about it in his post game interview. I put it in my article if you want to go to ESPN960.com and look at that. He talked about it. He was 0% from 3 point range. that was on his mind. He talked about he got up extra shots after practice, trying to break that streak. So he was focused. And after the ref breaks it up, you normally see a guy pick up a foul, turn the ball over. He picks it up, goes right at the guy, hits his first shot on this side of the court, actually. And after that, the rain came, as you would say.
Yeah. The rain came down. The last time I saw Noah make it rain like that, he was gathering every animal in the world two by two to put into his ark. So shout out to the Waterman and also the other Noah who made it rain. Both of them made it rain tonight, in a lot of ways. So shout out to both those Noahs
And just
there.
to say this is something we've been looking for. I believe that we were all waiting for. We were focused. We've been waiting for the second unit. Who is going to be the emerging person?
Right.
Like, okay, is Dallin going to get more minutes? Is Rudy going to kind of be on the bench with how it's going right now, or is it going to be Noah? Is it going to be Trey? And tonight we got a full grasp of okay, it's Noah Waterman and Dallin Hall who are going to lead that second unit.
Yeah, for sure. And Noah is, I mean, he's 6'11", 215 pounds, so you think he's more of a post player.
Yep.
This was a 52% shooter last year at
Agreed.
Detroit Mercy.
Agreed.
He's got a shot. I think he was a career 40, like
45.
47, yeah,
45,
47-ish
47, yeah.
percent shooter through his first 2 years in college basketball. So he can take deadly aim. A little Hamilton reference there for you. And really just be that spot up shooter off of the bench. I think that's part of why Mark Pope and his assistant coaches recruited him to BYU. That's what they expected out of him. They wanted a true stretch four,
Yes, in that point.
somebody who can play big, bang a little bit down low, but he's not going to be a
No.
primary post player.
And he's
He's
a
a wing
defender when they
player.
say bang big four when you say that. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, so we finally saw it today, 5 of 6 from 3 point range after going. He did make one total shot in his first 2 games. That
Yeah.
was from inside the arc.
Yeah.
He was 0 for 2 from 3 against Idaho State and at San Diego State last week.
And he picked up 3 quick fouls in the first half.
Yeah, but I think he found himself a little bit.
He did. He definitely did. I'm not gonna
What
say
what does a game like this as a you're a college athlete, you're a
yeah.
Division 1 athlete, much more of a Division 1 athlete than
Yep.
me, Ron. What does a game like this do for confidence for a guy like Noah?
For a guy like Noah, it definitely gives him confidence for now. And he's not gonna. Let's be honest. He could shoot 5 of 6. He could go perfect from beyond the arc. He could do that the next game against Nicholas State on Saturday as they hit the road the week after. We don't know. He could. But for as a college athlete from being one, this gives you of okay. I found my stroke. I found my shot. I'm good. For
Right.
him, he needed, and I'm not going to compare him to Steph Curry because he's not that, but shooters will continue shooting. All you need to do is see one go down. Once he saw that first one go down, and I didn't ask him this, and I wanted
Right.
to see, he was fine because he's starting to shoot him now and walk away, kind of like leave it up. He after that second one, he's like, I'm good. He's like, I'm back, I'm here, and now this gives him confidence of he doesn't have to think about it. Now, if he's open, he's going to pull it. I guarantee we're going to see a lot more threes from him and a lot more shots go down now. Now that he's hit these first 5 here, and this was a great game to do it against a great opponent. They were good
Yep.
defensively. They really pushed him. So for him, his confidence right now, his confidence is through the roof because he struggled so much. But now, because he's seen a few go down, he'll be okay.
Spencer Johnson, once again, his normal, reliable self, 10 points, 4 rebounds right there. Quietly, maybe semi-quietly, we'll say, after that Idaho State game. But semi-quietly becoming maybe BYU's most consistent and most reliable player in so many ways. And um, he just kind of did it. Like, um, I mean, what else is there really to say about Spencer Johnson?
I think the only thing you could say about Spencer Johnson, and I put this in my article, is he is becoming the BYU star. I don't think Spence is going to every single game drop 25, but Spence is going to be the guy. You're going to have other guys. I'm going to be honest, like you might have Foose. Foose might have a 20 and 10 night. You might see Jackson Robinson go off. But I believe when you're looking at second scorers on BYU's roster for the rest of the season, you're going to see Spencer Johnson. Spencer Johnson is going to make his impact defensively. He had a tough assignment tonight, and you're going to see
Yep.
him make his impact offensively as well. He's going to be the leading scorer, but you're going to also see him in that second spot. He's always going to be in the plus minus good range. You're going to see good numbers from Spence this year.
Yeah, 4 of 7 from field goal range. A little quiet on the scoring night, but big contributions I thought too from Atiki Aliatiki and Gideon George. Gideon with 9 rebounds, Atiki with 11 boards. tied for the game high, team high, as well. On a night where Foose Traore struggled a little bit from the field, he finishes with 6 points, 3 of 5 from the field, 5 rebounds. So that is struggling
Yes.
for Foose. He's a
Yes.
little bit of a walking double double right now, but he's also still young. He's not overly consistent all the time. He had another really tough assignment
He
going
did.
up
These
against
guys were
a
big
Missouri
tonight.
State team that is
Yes.
big, very
Very
big.
big.
And they really limited Foose around the basket.
Yeah.
But I thought that opened up things for Atiki really well to come in off the bench, spell him some. And maybe most importantly, he did all of that while only picking up 2 fouls.
That's the biggest thing that stood out to me out of everything was Atiki has learned to not foul, and his defense has gotten way more elite. We must talk about like ever since last season has progressed and we've seen that vertical of him jumping in the offseason, he has put in a lot of work. I'm not gonna say he's putting the most. I don't want other guys to think I'm not talking about the work ethic, but Atiki has put a lot in the work in this
He
offseason,
has.
and to become the player that he is now. Like, can we just talk about and we see Atiki get a lot of entry fouls, when guys are going to post up freshman year, and that has switched now. Can we talk about that steal that he has? If he doesn't get that steal, BYU might not win this game.
Right.
A lot of people
Yep.
don't want to talk about that, but to get that steal, to come around the guy, to catch it with his left hand, he pulled it down to read and that's a tough pass to read and to not pick up a foul. And to get that on bigs who were not punishing BYU, but had a really good, consistent night. You think of Dawson Kerper. He had what 6 total rebounds, 9 points. He made his presence known tonight. BYU didn't get beat up in the paint, but those guys definitely were effective for Missouri State. And where Foose is a little bit quiet, like you said, tough assignment tonight. Tiki was able to step into that role, monster block, and gave BYU the energy they needed on the glass.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a rotation from
Yes.
Mark Pope and this BYU basketball team.
Yep.
We're seeing some guys that are stepping up when their name is called. Trey Stewart, I thought, played some really good minutes
did.
defensively. They
He
had a
did.
little bit of an offense-defense substitution going in
They
with
did.
him and Dallin Hall
Yep.
late game, which I don't necessarily love pulling guys in and out, but in a close game, it makes sense. And you
Yes.
wanted Trey's defense,
Yeah.
and then Dallin's offense, his playmaking ability. He was the guy bringing the ball up the court in lieu of Rudy Williams. Um,
Trey can guard one through
tonight
three,
as well.
maybe
So
four,
yeah,
depending if
So
he's
Trey
playing
comes in for
position.
defense,
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
Dallin for
When Dallin got
offense.
tired, we saw that he clanked a free throw off the front of the rim, and you're sitting there looking like, okay, this is a freshman that a lot is being asked of him, you know.
Yeah,
Honestly, so
yeah, for sure. But you're really seeing this nice rotation of guys off the bench. Obviously, Dallin Hall, Richie Saunders had some really nice minutes, 9.5 minutes. Hit a really big three
I
there
love
in that
Richie's defense.
second half, and yeah, and then great defense, incredible defense, there as well. Mark Pope did also mention he wants to try to get Tanner Toolson, the other
Yeah.
of the kind of big return missionary freshmen, involved a little bit. He's obviously not redshirting. He did play last week,
Yep.
didn't play tonight,
Yeah.
but he wants to try to find a way to get him a little bit more involved. And I think you're starting to see kind of that 9-man rotation that could be pretty dangerous once this team gets to West Coast Conference play at the very least.
And at first, I know we talked about a little bit. We're like, who's gonna redshirt out of these guys? We talked about that because that was a real thing. But looking at it now, because even at one point, I think it was under 4 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I saw Richie Saunders into the game, if I'm
Yep.
correct. And I didn't think Mark Pope was going to close with them, but for defensive purposes, like they were
Yep.
switching off, you saw Richie come into the game, and like you said, he needs to fit Tanner into that. This is good. This is good to fit Tanner into that because last year BYU went through a handful of injuries, and let's be honest, BYU went through a handful of time where they picked up fouls. I remember there was a couple of times where Alex and Tijon both had to mix and match where they both had 2 or 3 fouls in the first half. And that put a lot of stress on BYU's offense because where do you go? And we saw Spence step up big time and some other guys. But that's going to help a lot because let's say Rudy does get into foul trouble or Jackson Robinson last game. You're going to have guys like Noah Waterman who can come in. You're going to have Trey. You're going to have Richie. Tanner might get a look too then at that point. So this is going to help depending on how maybe the game is officiated or called.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, let's look ahead a little bit because BYU does play again Saturday. Nichols State.
Yep.
Are they? No, they're just Nichols now.
There's
I think.
Nichols now.
I think they prefer. Yeah, no state
just
anymore.
Nichols.
That's Saturday, 7 p.m. right here in the Marriott Center.
Yep.
Afternoon football game, 1:30 p.m. kickoff against Utah Tech. So nice little doubleheader. You'll be there. I'll be there.
Yes.
Where does this team kind of need to look at moving forward a little bit? Because I saw one area of pretty dramatic improvement still going to say it's too much, but I thought there was significant improvement in the turnover department. This was a BYU team that was tied for third to last nationally with 21, averaging 21 turnovers per game in the first week of the season. They're tied with Arizona and Loyola Chicago, by the way. So a couple good teams to be tied with. Just not on a good line, not on a good line at all. They had 10 turnovers in the first half, and then only 3 after the break.
Yep.
So you saw a lot of improvement, a lot of just not forcing as much.
Yes,
I think
agreed.
the tempo slowed down a little bit, so that obviously helped some. But what did you see from with that regard in that second half, where BYU can improve, get better? Teams get better throughout the course of a
Yes,
season,
they
right?
do.
We're 3 games in. Where can they kind of get better in that turnover department where they did, and then can kind of move forward?
I think the biggest thing is with the turnover battle is when you play as I played basketball, and I haven't played basketball at the highest level. Like I said, I only played freshman and sophomore year. I played point guard. I know what it's like to push the ball in transition, but it's knowing when to push it in transition. We didn't see Rudy take unnecessary risks down the court, and that helped a lot. Because if you see in the San Diego State game, and even if you go back to Iowa State game, Rudy was trying to hit Gideon on a quick outlet, hit Jackson Robinson. I think we only saw that twice tonight, where they actually tried to push, and they threw that, and it's hitting in the right moment. And that's the thing, when you get a board, if you want to take the ball, 90 feet, or you want to go over that quickly, the minute you see it, you have to do it. You can't wait, dribble, and then lead a guy because it's going to go out of bounds or get thrown a fade route in football. So I believe that's where they really worked well, was not, like you said, not forcing it, and it was taking their moments. They knew when to push, they knew when not to push. The biggest thing that they recognize, and a lot of BYU fans have to recognize, is you guys have to look at when you push in transition, when do you have mismatches off what offensive rebounds, and they did a good job in that, where they caught Nichols Big slipping. They caught him on the back end, and then they could push against the guards. They could push against the other, maybe stretch fours, and they're able to get easy, quick baskets. So that's what you want to do. It's hard to push in transition when the center's getting back, but when he's in the backcourt and you got the smaller guards, you can see that, because even Missouri State caught us slipping a few times, where a Tiki and Foose were there, and they got themselves back into the game with a couple 3-point plays.
Yeah. And that's something I think they can work on definitely on Saturday. That should lighten up the schedule a little bit. There's a Nichols team that's 0-2 on the year. They gave up 117 points to one of those teams that also is pretty turnover prone in Arizona. And then their other loss at Wyoming.
Arizona is a very good program, so we have to understand.
Yeah. I'm not throwing it. I'm not throwing any shade at you, Tommy, or anything like that. I promise. Arizona, very good team. Again, top 20 team. Overall, very, very good basketball program. I'm just here to say, even good teams have issues like turnovers.
I like to give Sean a little bit of a
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But yeah, I mean, this is a game where BYU should be able to continue to iron out some kinks. Some things they found a little bit this game against Missouri State. Again, a team from the Missouri Valley that I think is going to be pretty good by the end of the year. Maybe not very good, but pretty good at least. And they found some.
Their game got canceled. They were supposed to play a game and it got canceled.
Missouri State.
Nichols, sorry.
Oh,
I know I'm looking ahead.
I think
they were supposed to play a third game, but they didn't.
I think it was weather related.
Weather related, okay.
Yeah, I think it was weather. But yeah. While I got you on the podcast, Ron.
Yep.
Let's look at senior day for football.
100%. Just a quick thing. The reason why I asked that is Nichols hasn't played in a week's time, so those games are always up and down.
Yeah, it'll be about a week. It'll be about a week.
So that team could come in very, very hot. They could be very, very cold. So this is a game for BYU. Looking at that, you never underestimate your opponent. But if this team hasn't had a lot of chance to play live and they're on the road, they're coming. This might be a good breakout game for BYU to be able to get out there a little bit more in transition, limit the turnovers, and get more fast break points. I look at this game. This is going to be a Gideon Jackson Robinson type of game. I feel like Saturday coming. But senior day.
That's a really good pull. Really good pull. No, I like that.
Yeah, I really think it is, looking at the matchups.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Gideon and Jackson on the stat sheet.
Yeah. And Gideon, again, not bad. 6 points, 9 rebounds. His rebounding, I know he's going to take a lot of flack for his shooting. He had a couple of ill-timed three-pointers. We'll say Gideon shoots the ball a lot better than that. But his rebounding tonight really helped BYU in a very tough spot. It wasn't all a Tiki. Gideon was very good on the boards. Gideon's going to be very good on the boards.
He had the best plus-minus 14, so that should tell you right by itself.
And his defense was also very good. Let's quick football Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. LES Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It's the final home football game of the year, of the regular season, at least of the year. There's no bowl game in
There's
Provo,
no bowl game in
last I
Provo.
checked. Um, it's senior day. BYU TV, ESPN3's got the stream as well if you don't got it. Uh, there are 34
Jeez.
BYU players that are going to be honored. Only 13 of them are actually seniors,
100%.
but because of COVID, some of them are fourth year and fifth year players, even a couple of 6-year players that for some reason still have eligibility remaining. Thanks, COVID.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you to that COVID season. Who are some of the guys that you think we're going to be seeing for the last time? Because I'll start with a couple of the seniors. Obviously, Chris Brooks, Cal transfer running back.
Transfer, yeah,
He's out of eligibility.
Yep.
Harvey Unga, running backs coach, did tell us today Chris is probably going to see a couple minutes. So he wasn't listed on the depth chart on Monday. Harvey kind of let slip that, yeah, they're going to try to work him in some. So I don't expect him to start or anything, but he's been dealing with a little bit of a sore hamstring the last few weeks. I think it would be good if he's healthy, if he even has some health. I think it'd be good to get him back into the swing of things, as well. Final home game as well for Houston Hamuli.
Yes.
Stanford transfer. Shout out to you, Houston. Love the Hamuli clan, so I got to give them a shout out. But then we also got kind of those weird semi juniors,
Yeah.
partial seniors, I guess, that are there.
Well, one guy I want to shout out for sure that can't come back because he's done is D'Angelo Mandel.
D'Lo. Yep.
Yeah, you can't forget about D'Lo and what he's been to this program and what he's meant as one of the best lockdown corners, I believe, in BYU up there in this era. If you definitely look at him, I'm so grateful for just everything he's been to the program. If you look at what he went through freshman year, so you better go through that. If you haven't seen it, go watch the Deep Blue video. To go home, to come back, to realize the maturity, everything that he's done is just, I'm so happy for him and everything. And then another one, obviously, Cal would be remiss without saying my boss's, brother, Matt Criddle. Matt Criddle's also been here a while.
Yep.
He was on the show today.
Went through senior day last year. Came back.
And if you hear it, Matt actually said it was time for him to move on. Looking at that, he looked at that, and then when I had asked him,
he was ready to go, like fully graduated everything. Yep.
And he says, "This is my last year to play. I'm fully graduated, but I'm never going to get this opportunity again." And I didn't like how we finished last year. A lot of guys felt that way.
Yep.
That's why Lopini came back. He didn't like how last year finished.
Lopini Katoa, same way. Yep.
Same way. So, yeah, good to see him. D'Lo, a couple other people, that I remember coming in with freshman year.
Joe Tukuafu was in that boat as well. He was kind of had a half foot out the door and then came back. Yep.
Alden Tofa's another one, and then you also have on the defensive side, Lorenzo Falte. I remember when all those guys, when we came in freshman year, Kalani introducing them when they introduced all the football team.
Yep.
So I remember those guys. But those are the seniors that we'll miss. But moving on to the juniors, I don't think we're going to see Malik Moore anymore. I don't think we're going to see Chaz Ayu. I don't think we're going to see Jaron Hall. And I definitely don't think we're going to see Puka. And obviously the lineman, Blake Freeland's gone, Clark Barrington.
Yep, those are some big. Those are some big names. I think Puka's a little bit closer to staying.
Okay.
If I had to put a percentage at it, I think there's I think there's probably a greater chance that Puka leaves than stays, but I don't think it's 100%. I think it's far from 100%. I put it at maybe like a 60-40, 65-35. Somewhere in there. Jaron Hall, I fully expect to go. He said he hasn't even thought about it to this point. I think that's also because in the back of his mind, he kind of knows like it's time. He's gonna be 25 in March.
Yeah, he can't.
If he wants to take a shot at the NFL,
it's right now.
I think now is the time. He's leaving the program in a better place than when he came in.
He was ranked the sixth best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, he's a redshirt junior. Yeah. Has this year helped his draft stock? Maybe not necessarily, but he still might be.
I think he stayed the same, to be honest.
I don't know if he does anything more next year that can really help him that much either.
Let's be honest, I don't think if he did anything this year that would help him. I think even if Jaron, the games against Notre Dame and Arkansas, if he wins those, I still think Jaron, his projected draft would stay the same.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the linemen. Clark Barrington, Blake Freeland. I don't expect to see them back. These are guys that are gonna hear their name called at the NFL draft. I'm certain of it. Do I know how high? I don't know. I thought at one point Blake Freeland might be a top 3 round draft pick.
I mean, to be, you know what I expected to be?
Exactly,
It's like
exactly.
Brady Christensen
I thought he could be a Brady Christensen.
and
I
Brady
don't know if he's
Christensen
all the
now is
way up
starting.
there. Yeah, I don't know if he's all the way up there at this
Third
point after
round,
this year,
yeah,
but I think he's still draftable. He's
yeah,
got to take the money. Same
100%.
with Clark Barrington. He's a draftable prospect. Probably a late round draft pick. He's
100%.
a little bit short on the short side,
Yep.
but put up some good numbers at the pro day. Impress one team, they're gonna fall in love with you. You guys know
What
how
about
this
Harris
works.
LaChance? Do we get Harris LaChance back, or does he leave? That's what I'm not
It's a little
sure. That's a
50-50.
50-50. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's a little 50-50.
does Harris go or does he stay?
If I had to put money down, this is not gambling advice, not gambling advice. But if I had to put money down, I'd probably suggest Harris come back.
Okay.
But I'm a little 50-50 on that one. And I would say the same thing to Mason Wake as
Yeah.
well. He's one of those juniors that's going to be honored um, with the seniors because he's kind of thinking about it a little
Yeah.
bit up in the air.
Yeah.
I think it's still very up in the air, but I think he might be leaning towards going. I would recommend Mason Wake stay for another year, but
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean,
There, there,
most of these guys,
there's
they
two
haven't
guys I want to
publicly
talk
said that
about
they're
for
going
sure.
to leave, but
The one guy that I
that won't
think we're
stop us from
losing for
speculating.
sure is, I think right now for his draft prospect, I'm gonna zoom all the way on his name so you can see him. Maximus Decimus
Max Tooley, yep.
Tully. I don't. Max right now. I mean, he got that tweet from RG3. See you in the NFL. With the way Max has played this year, I know he's gone through his injuries. Max, I'm sorry that happened towards the end. I think his Max's
His
time.
stock's never been higher.
His stock exactly right
Yep.
now is the time.
And a little podcast exclusive. Max did tell me so he's only been taking 2 classes this year. He was on the
Really?
verge of graduating,
I had no idea
came
that.
back this semester specifically to play football, only took 2 classes. He's had a really light schedule. I think maybe only one of them is required for graduation even.
Yes, I believe.
Um,
You do.
but yeah,
Just to
but
be a
it's
full-time
yeah,
student.
it's 1 or 2 classes that he's taking. So he is graduating. He's getting that degree in December.
Okay. Well,
I take that as a good
yeah, I
sign
take this as a
with
good sign.
a high draft stock, some good film on tape, and he's getting his degree. I think you're right. I don't
Can
think
we
Max is
talk
coming
about
back.
something controversial? You know, I'm a controversial guy,
Oh,
like you
you
know,
are a
since time.
controversial guy.
What's Peyton Wilgar gonna do?
Oh, that's a great question.
This is controversial
That's a
because
great question.
there's a lot of stuff that happened. I'm not trying to get him in trouble. You know, I know there's some stuff on Instagram, Twitter, but the point is he has one more year. If he were to come back, does he go
Yep.
into the transfer portal?
If
And if that's the case, I'm not trying to say this. You know, I cover BYU. Does he go to Utah?
I don't know if he transfers, I don't know where he goes.
I'm like I said,
I think he
controversial.
could take a shot at the NFL and make a training camp
I
roster
think he's a
somewhere.
training camp
I
roster
do.
guy. I
I
think he
do.
is.
I would say the same thing about Keenan Peely. Keenan Peely is also on the list of juniors.
Yeah, he is.
But I think he's probably a slightly better
Yes,
chance
he
to
is.
come back than
Better
Peyton.
tackler, better in between those A and B gaps, yes.
Yeah, I think there's a slightly better chance that Keenan Peely comes back than Peyton Wilgar. I don't think either one of them are. I think both of them are far from 100% either way.
Yes,
So
yes,
there's
yes, yes.
probably a lot that's going to be determined here um, moving forward. And then Chaz Ayu, his eligibility isn't up.
No, which is not.
He technically could still redshirt this year. That was his
Yes.
initial plan and then come back next
Yeah.
year. But he is also draft eligible.
Yeah.
He's a very highly sought after recruit, 4-star recruit coming out of high
Right.
school, came back home from a mission, has struggled with injuries so far.
Yeah, and just
So
unfortunate.
he's a little bit older. Does he
Yeah.
take a shot at the NFL? I think he comes back for the first year in the Big 12.
This is tough because another podcast exclusive. So I listened to a podcast that Chaz Ayudilo and Malik do. And from what they were talking about, now this is guys, this is in the summertime. This is way before, way earlier when they started this. They were doing this, start of last year into now. They were all talking about going for the NFL. At that point, it's a business, and this being their last years in league.
Sure.
So it sounded like from that podcast, and it's on Apple Podcast. It's called No Politics. You can go watch it you can go watch it on YouTube and listen to it. If you download
Kind of like you're doing right now.
Exactly, 100%. So this is not any private information. It's out
At
there.
the Cougar Beat on YouTube if you're listening to
100%.
this on podcast.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Cougar Beat and Sean for putting this on. But they were talking about that, Sean, of leaving and going. So to me,
They're thinking about it.
they're thinking about it 100%, and it's crossing their minds. I'm just gonna have to wait and see what their decision is. I know D'Lo's definitely gonna take a shot for sure, not even a question.
Yeah, he's out of eligibility.
He's out of eligibility, but I think he's a guy that definitely will make an NFL roster. An NFL roster practice team.
Mhm.
He's over there. I definitely think he has that ability, and he has the film work in BYU
For sure.
from BYU to see that. I guess I just got to see what Chaz and Malik do.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I think Malik is. I think Malik might be a little bit further along than Chaz in terms of.
They both have graduated.
Yeah,
I was here
That's
in the
true.
Marriott last year,
That's true.
and
They
they
both
both got
graduated
their
last April.
both are graduated last
Yep.
April. They got their degrees, so they're done.
Yep.
So
Yep. And they've got. We wish all of these guys the best as they
100%,
move forward.
absolutely.
By the way,
Love y'all. Love you,
um,
D'Lo, Malik. Appreciate the time that I've had with y'all. In the media, outside, you guys have been great. I know we're not the best of friends, but just talking to you guys along the way.
let's go one more, then wrap this up.
Okay.
Gunnar Romney was a senior this year.
Oh man, this one is
He's
funny.
only played in 2 games though. Do we
Oh,
see a repeat appearance of Gunnar Romney in that first season
here
in the
we
Big
go
12?
again. Oh man, can I tell you something? I think you would stay.
You think so?
Hey, you were the guy that told me that he had one foot out there.
Oh,
And he
he
was looking
was
at the
ready.
He
He
was
was
ready.
ready.
But with
He
this
was. Return missionaries understand this. So y'all, I'm gonna use a word that only RM's probably gonna get, but Mormon culture fans also get it.
Yeah.
Gunnar was trunky. Gunnar was trunky
Oh,
last
not the
year.
trunky.
He was trunky
I
to
know
go
what
to the
trunky
NFL.
means.
Like he kind of was.
Yeah.
If you really read into kind of some of his media appearances, read between the lines a little bit with some stuff he said on BYU TV, stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I think he was a little bit trunky, ready to be done, ready to go to the NFL. Something changed. We're glad it did. Always glad to see you suit up,
100%.
Gunner.
I would love to see him suit up next year in the Big 12 because it'd be good. And here's the thing: if you think about it, a lot of people would say burn it up, break it up, move on. A lot of people are upset with the injuries. You have to understand there's attrition in football. But if Gunnar and Puka both stayed, and Gunnar got healthy and got right, to me, whatever quarterback is
be a
next
nice
starting next year,
safety blanket
it'd
for
be a
your new
nice
quarterback.
safety.
Yeah.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my
Yeah.
mouth. So if Puka doesn't put his foot out the door and says, you know what, there's a lot of receivers going into the draft, which is true.
There are.
What if I went next year and I came out of the Big 12 and Gunnar the same thing, and then you got a safety blanket as your quarterback? Might work out for A-Rod. Might be a business
It
decision.
might be.
But let's see.
It
I don't
might
know.
be.
That could go either way.
I'm all in favor of guys striking while the iron's hot. I think the
100%,
iron is
absolutely.
very hot
Do
for
what's best
Puka.
for you
Yeah.
and your career.
But I could see maybe some potential. You put Puka in that Big 12.
Yeah.
He does what he's done this year, but he's fully healthy. Obviously,
Yep.
remember he's doing all of this on one
Yes.
ankle
100%.
since that season opener at USF.
Crazy.
Puts up the kind of numbers that he has this year in the Big 12 potentially.
Jeez.
I could see some Jordan Addison style comps.
That's top. If he puts some numbers like he did before that when he first came,
Right.
You're looking at a guy that and this people, Ron, that's a stretch. I'm not saying top 10, but you're looking at
Top 2 rounds.
You're looking at top 2 rounds. Period.
Yep. Top
He's
2
going to
rounds.
be in the top 31 or top 60 pick.
Yep.
Easily.
Thursday or Friday pick.
Easily, you'll hear his name called.
He could.
With that being said,
again, we're not saying he is,
yes,
but
it's
extrapolating a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
If you go off that based on numbers, if they add it up right, that's what the projections would be. But before we go, I want to ask, out of these people from the seniors that do go and the people that we think of juniors, who do you think will be drafted? I want to know your thoughts.
Well, I'm on record. I like the 2 linemen,
Okay.
Blake Freeland, Clark Barrington.
I'm sold on them as well as going.
I think Jaron Hall is
I
a
agree.
potential
Jaren's
late
one.
round pick.
Agreed. I believe he's 3rd to 5th. That's what
Puka will probably get picked up if he does go.
100%.
I'm not sure it's
4th to
that
6th.
high this year. Yeah,
4th to
probably a late
6th.
round guy.
That's what
But
it is. Puka's 4th if he goes.
and then beyond that, I mean,
I think
I don't
Christian
know.
Brooks get drafted late. I think Chris Brooks is like Jamal
Maybe
Williams. I see that as
like 5th, 6th round.
5th, 6th, 7th round, and then look at what Jamal's doing now.
If he's still out there in the 7th
If he's
round,
out there
yeah,
in the
I could
7th
see
round.
maybe somebody
I
try to
think
take
just
a
the
flyer
big
on
body.
him.
I know BYU has been bad, but you got to think about this. If he didn't come to BYU, he would have still been drafted, in my opinion, because what he did at the Pac-12. We always see running
That's true.
backs, so
That's
not
true.
let what happened at BYU deplete him.
Cal's
as he
leading
developed.
rusher for 2 years. Yeah.
Exactly. So what he's done at Cal will really go there. I think that will happen. So my guys, if they declare, if Chris Brooks declare, he'll be drafted. The 2 linemen, like you said, Jaron, and then Puka, and then who's the? Yeah, those are the 4 that I would believe.
Yeah.
If Harris LaChance declares, he might be a late round pick as well, maybe 7th. Depending, maybe that might be a stretch. There's a lot of linemen in this draft. He has potential. He definitely can get signed. But the guys I think for sure lock in: Chris Brooks, Jaron, 2 linemen, Puka, if they go.
I do see a lot more guys that are rookie camp, mini camp, training camp potential. I think Chris Brooks will definitely make a training camp roster.
Yeah,
it's not
even yet.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
But I think Lorenzo Fate can make a couple of bucks
Absolutely,
of a rookie
100%.
mini camp. I think Caleb Hayes has
I think
training camp written all over him. He's like a dude
He's got
that I
that
think a
edge,
lot of NFL
and he
teams
puts in the
would
work.
want on their practice squad and then
Yes.
kind of see what happens from
Yes.
there. Same with Lopini Katoa
Yes.
because he can play not just what he does as a running back, but he can also play special teams. He's a pretty nice return man.
Absolutely.
So I think that would help. And then teams also like to stock up that practice squad with linemen. I think Joe Tukuafu could be that kind of a player as well on there. So I think there are opportunities for
Yes.
plenty of these guys,
Absolutely.
even if
100%.
they don't get drafted. Um,
They
I'm
can
not
make
sure I see
plays.
more than 4 draft picks out of this group though.
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5 at the max. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think 3 at the lowest, 5 is our high.
yeah.
So.
Oh, and Max Tooley. I didn't mention Max
Oh yeah,
Tooley, but
Max
I
Tooley.
totally
Forgot
agreed
about
with you on
totally,
that. So
totally
yeah,
about yeah. So there
yeah.
you go. There's your range. If you had to pick
Kind of
between
4 to
someone
6.
4 to 6, you're gonna look at Chris, Jaron, the 2 linemen, Puka, and then Max. Those are your 6 probably. If you had to gamble on that, you could see getting phone
For
calls.
sure, for
So
sure. But we still got time left. Senior day this Saturday, Utah Tech,
yeah.
1:30 p.m. Be there if you're in Utah.
When is pro day, by the
Otherwise, it's
way?
on BYU TV. It'll be, I mean, before the April
Before
draft,
you, yeah.
late
Late
February.
February. Okay.
Yeah.
We're long terms out for them, but that's after the season and the bowl game.
Um,
So yeah.
yeah. Same day as BYU Nichols, BYU
Mm-hmm.
basketball and Nichols, Saturday
Doubleheader.
night, 7 p.m. Yeah, come join us for that
I'm gonna have a
doubleheader.
double Cougar win that day.
Oh, we'll see.
But
We'll
I, I
see.
I know we were supposed to head out. I want to ask you this. I know I'm extending it.
Uh oh.
And I posed this question when Darnell Dixon and Gurney hosted the ESPN show. Uh, who do you want to see on Saturday outside of these guys? Who do you want to see second
It's
half?
the FCS game,
Who do you
so
need to see? That's the thing.
younger players, obviously. The really popular name is Jacob Conover,
Of course, that's the
backup
one I'm gonna
quarterback.
say.
I'd almost like to see maybe even like a full half of Conover.
I think
And
I would
if
like second and I
yeah,
would like third and fourth quarter.
although I don't know how deep slash how early you bring in Jacob because BYU does have some quarterback depth issues
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Cade Finnegan still banged up, dealing with an ankle sprain.
Jeez.
Poor kid just can't catch a break. If Jacob and Cade were both fully healthy, I'd love to see both of them kind of split up that second half.
Yeah,
Beyond that, like, do you split up some of Conover's reps with like Soldier Maeva Peters,
maybe.
Nick Billups?
I would love to see Nick out
Who
there.
who of that group is the most likely? They're trying to shut down here, so we got to go soon. But
Yeah,
who of that backup quarterback group do you think is still here next year?
Cade Finnegan.
You think Cade's here? Okay.
Cade played at Boise
Cade's
State
still
and won
injured,
Dev,
so
and he's
sure.
still injured. But when you think about being here next year, I think all 3 of them will be. We'd have to see, but someone I want my eye on is Cade Finnegan. The way he played at Boise State, the way Kalani recruited him,
Yep.
coming here,
And he wants to be a
and he
BYU
wants
student.
to be a BYU student. That's the biggest thing. So that's someone I have my eyes on. Of he could potentially be playing in the Big 12 leading this offense.
Sure.
He's got grit. The kid's
Sure.
got grit.
Sure. Aaron Roderick obviously loves Jacob Conover, but I want to see either Nick Billups or Soldier Maeva Peters stick around.
Okay.
I'm not sure both of them do,
Nope.
but I think one of them does.
Yes.
I don't really know where to go beyond that for either one. They both have some pluses and minuses. Soldier is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like Nick's athleticism though.
Absolutely.
I like his arm maybe a little bit more than Soldier from what
Okay.
we've seen, the little bit that we've seen out of them in practice mostly. Um, so I don't know. I think one of like I said, I think one of them stays and one of them goes.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a matter of which way beyond that. Uh, Also some younger players. Let's see. I want lots of Campbell Barrington
Okay.
on that offensive line. I think
Agreed.
he's going to be a fixture on that line next
I
year.
want me some Hinkley
So
Ropati.
give him, Hinkley
I
Ropati.
need
We
to
saw
see
what he could
Hinkley
do a little bit
Ropati.
against Boise.
He's gonna be a senior next year. I need to see some.
Yep. And Braden Cosper. He's technically going to get honored as a redshirt junior,
Absolutely, 100%.
but give him some time, man. Like give him lots
Yes.
of time.
And I think Braden's the guy because correct me wrong, he's not married. Am I right?
I believe he's still single.
So I think just think with Braden, he's already graduated too. Braden not having a lot of like maybe commitment of other people that you may see.
Sure.
He could potentially come back and could be a guy.
For sure.
Like a third guy, with Keanu Hill and other things, and Cody, you got to look at that.
Yep, for sure.
I think another people I want to see some of these other guys, some Maury Bamba,
I love Mo Bamba.
I want to see.
So we've had him on our live stream show. Shout out to Coup Connect a couple of times. Mo Bamba. He's a character. He is a good dude. Utah State wanted him desperately. You guys can go back on the Coup Connect feed and listen really wanted this kid.
Yeah.
So getting him to BYU was a little bit of a steal locally, and I want to see some time out of Mo, assuming that he's still healthy,
Yeah.
as well there. I think Talon Alfrey could use some extra reps.
I think Webster is always great.
Yep, 100%. And the other, I'll give three more, because I want to see some action from the Wilson boys.
Okay.
So Michael Wilson in particular,
Okay.
I want some good time from Michael Wilson. I think Josh Wilson has also deserved it. He's played a little bit more than Michael, obviously, but I think both of them deserve some time. And then also on defense, give me some Bodie Schoonover.
Well, that's what I was like,
Bodie
where's good? I was
Schoonover,
thinking, I was
yeah.
like, I need some Bodie. We heard his name called Preston Halley talked about him. That a lot of people are not people sleeping on him. It's good to see what he can do next year. But yeah, it's the defensive guys, man, that I would really want to see and how they do. Like you said, Bodie, Micah, a lot of these guys. I would love to even see some Tate Romney, out there.
Yeah,
And I know he's taken a lot of reps as a freshman, and we've seen it. But I would love to see him go full game, beginning to end, and maybe guys come after him. I would love to see Micah Harper go quarter one or quarter four. I know we've seen him mix in a lot, but Micah might be a guy, depending on what happens next year, that he could be a guy in the starting role. You never know.
for sure, for sure. That'll do it. We'll wrap it up there.
God, are they kicking us out?
Yeah, exactly. Once again, BYU basketball 66-64 over Missouri State. Um, Dallin Hall's a dude,
Yes.
and Dallin we trust. Buy stock now. Buy stock
Top
now.
5 halls in the state of Utah.
Yeah,
Sean Walker.
number
He's got
four.
him as number 4.
Number four.
It's number 4.
Number 4. Coming for your spot, Jaron. Dallin's coming for your spot.
Hot take.
Oh, there we
Shout
go.
out to Coup Connect for putting this on.
Thanks for having us, guys.